This is the Tigers Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Detroit Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh boy, a quick turnaround and not the one you want. What a difference from one game to the next. The Chicago Cubs hit 5 home runs and beat the Detroit Tigers in an afternoon game at Comerica Park. 6-1 the final. Welcome into a live Locked On Tigers postcast. I am your host, Jake Rodgers. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake_Rodgers. And this is the Locked On Tigers postcast. It's your instant reaction show, free and available wherever you get your podcast, the audio only version, of course, live on YouTube, where we'd appreciate you to subscribe. Go ahead and like today's video. And it's the 1-2 punch with the Locked On Tigers Daily Show with Scott Bentley, the instant reaction show with yours truly, Jake Rodgers. Today wasn't our day. That's what we're going to talk about on today's postcast. The Cubs hit 5 home runs, and the Tyler Holton concern is maybe reaching an even higher mark than it was prior, because the Tyler Holton concern is for real. As always, your comments are welcome. We'll have our turning point, our talking point, and our player of the game. It's all next on a live Locked On Tigers postcast. Anybody at the ballpark, let me know. Comerica Park is always beautiful at all times of the day, but for whatever reason, I love a good day game at Comerica Park, getting it going early. But unfortunately, the quick turnaround, we didn't have as much time to enjoy last night's electric win over the Chicago Cubs with Tarek Skubal on the mound, and a quick turnaround into today's game. A reminder that this is a really good Chicago Cubs team as well. I mean, this is the team in the top of the National League Central who is making a case to be one of the best teams in all of baseball, and especially in the National League. So hit me up in the comment section. Love to hear from you, but we begin where we always do. And our biggest takeaway, our biggest talking point, what will we all be talking about?
This is what you'll be talking about.
Now, 6 runs, that's not anything to, sound the alarm over, and the Cubs win 6-1 today. But what is alarming and concerning, something I would sound the alarm over, is giving up 5 home runs over the course of 9 innings. You're just not going to win a lot of baseball games when that happens. And I understand the opener and the way that this game started with Suzuki hitting a solo home run at the beginning of the game in the first inning, and then you get Bush homering, and it's 3-0 Cubs after 5 innings of play. This is a game the Tigers are not out of. They make it a ball game, 3-1 on that RBI ground out from Jake Rodgers, who, by the way, I still think with that whole discussion of what the catcher position should look like. 0 for 2 today for Jake Rodgers. He did draw a walk, and hate to put him under the microscope, but I think Dylan Dingler is this team's everyday catcher. But that being said, you're not going to win a lot of baseball games when you score 1 run. You're not going to win a lot of baseball games when you give up 5 home runs. I think we can all agree the Tigers were lucky. It was only 6-1. It could have been far worse. And the concern from the pitching staff is where we begin, and what I think everybody's talking about after this one. And not necessarily the bona fide starters that we know all about, but the relief pitchers. And we would all agree that last year's pitching chaos and the run to the postseason, it was an outlier. It was an anomaly, whatever you want to call it. That's not supposed to happen in Major League Baseball. But when AJ Hinch and the rest of that coaching staff still has what I would consider the ability and the resources and the skill set and the roster makeup to be able to implement an opener from time to time when the situation calls for it, you don't expect to take such a drastic step backwards in terms of the pitching prowess that you have for that given day. And I thought today was kind of the exact opposite of that. We did take a significant step backwards as far as the arsenal that this pitching staff was working with. Now, it wasn't like Tyler Holton got shelled by any means, but it gives up the 1 home run, and unfortunately, he's going to get the tough luck loss. He's now 2-3 on the season. But over the course of the rest of the game, towards the latter portion, is where you saw the floodgates open. You saw Pete Crow Armstrong hit the home run in the 7th. Shaw then homered. Give Suzuki another homer in the 8th. And so that's where you start to get a little bit more concerned, where a game went from a 3-1 game to a blowout because of the lack of ability to from out of the bullpen for this pitching staff. And when you trace where the Cubs scored those runs with Cater Montero pitching for the Tigers in the 7th, that's a little bit concerning because this is a guy who was competing for the opportunity to be one of these starting pitchers. And if he can't get it done in relief, you'd be hard pressed to say, yeah, here's the baseball, Cater, go win us a game. But those are my thoughts. Love to hear yours. And we'll get into the comments. The dude leaves us off. The heart of our order only gets one hit between Carp, Green, and Torque. I fear slump this way comes. I understand that sentiment, and I don't disagree. And over the course of 162 games, you're going to hit some slumps. And like I said on the postcast last night, when I heard after the Tigers beat the Cubs in game 1 of the series that they had won 8 of their last 11, I started scratching my head. Is that right? Had they really won 8 of their last 11? And they sure had. So yes, and you could take a couple of portions and say, well, this is not good. This is concerning. Losing 2 of 4 to the White Sox is concerning. What we saw today is concerning. But over the higher level, grand scheme of things, I don't know if I'm necessarily at the point where I'm predicting a slump to come about. Gray Matter is up next. 4 out of 5 Chicago home runs off pitches knee high or close, with Doug Eddings giving stratospheric strike zone. Sad bullpen day. Still believe in Chase Lee. No, yeah, I believe in Chase Lee. And I did see that all over Twitter. My guy Jeff Rieger tweeted out how generous the strike zone had been. And the fact that the Cubs are able to compile 5 home runs on a day where it felt like the pitcher should have the advantage just given of the strike zone. That's certainly worth noting there. DT Lions is up next. It's concerning how much our offense has struggled when Skubal isn't here to save us. It's not like these are fantastic pitchers other teams are throwing at us either. Yeah, that is a good point. And I was having this conversation with some guys at 105.3 The Fan. You know, your Tigers, can they win when Skubal's not on the mound? I said, yeah, they can win when Skubal's not on the mound. You don't go 42-24 and 22-9 at home with only one good pitcher. So I hear you, but at the same time, I don't think this team is constructed to only win when Tarek Skubal's on the mound. I think this lineup that we're seeing now with Parker Meadows back in the lineup, with Wenzel Perez back healthy, and contributors, all you're waiting for is Matt Vierling to get healthy. But this is a lineup that has some flexibility to it, has some depth, and you can push a number of different buttons. But the flip side of that has the alternative and the adverse effect in which sometimes the wrong buttons are pushed. And maybe today was an example of that. And I understand the splits and why certain guys are called upon and the moves that are made, but you're not gonna nail every single lineup and the cohesion and continuity of still finalizing what gives the Tigers the best chance to win, I still think is up for discussion for sure. Demetrius McNeil is up next. Jake, only a fitting in a battle of the 2 top dogs in baseball will conclude tomorrow. I can't wait to see the Tigers rebound from a tough loss. Golden Sombrero went to Riley Green. Yeah, he did hit the Golden Sombrero, and he strikes out a lot. I saw a couple of people put that on Twitter. His strikeout numbers are still concerning, no matter how good of a player he is. That strikeout percentage has to come down for sure. But yeah, I mean, this is what you're going to get with 2 of the best teams at baseball going head to head. Rubber match tomorrow. That sounds like a lot of fun with Jack Flaherty on the bump. Rodney Morgan is up next. How does Green have an OPS over 800? Somebody needs to check the math. It's like a feast or famine with Riley Green, and it is a little bit of a roller coaster. You never know. You know, he could show up and have a Golden Sombrero, or he could show up and have those 6 RBI nights that he was having from time to time. All right. And David Gustafson puts it well here. When Green is on, he's great. When he's off, he's terrible. There's no in between. It does kind of affectionately feel like that. From Javi Baez, El Mago wants me to explain why Sweeney hasn't been optioned yet. That's a good question. I don't have the answer for you. I think it's imminent. I think it's coming. And perhaps when Matt Vierling's back, or perhaps when Scott Harris makes a big swing for a certain shortstop that hails north of the border right now in Bo Bichette for the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm not saying, I'm just hoping. All right, a lot of other comments. Mark with the positivity here. I knew we'd lose today. Not having Job and Olsen has definitely hurt us with pitching, and our offense hasn't been good for weeks, unfortunately. Keeping it real. I understand, Mark. Appreciate the comment. Absolutely. And there is an element of that with being up against it as far as having a number of important arms that are injured. But like we said, buckle it up for a series finale tomorrow in the rubber match. Looking forward to that. All right, we'll have our player of the game, our turning point, and we'll look at tomorrow's rubber match all next on Live Locked On Tigers Postcast. Hey, this episode of the Locked On Tigers Postcast, it's brought to you by our friends at Trade Coffee. That's right. Listen up, my friends. Trade Coffee could be for you. We all know how important Trade Coffee is. We all know how important coffee is. It starts the day. That's how you get the day started. It's not just a drink. It's a ritual. It's a lifeline. It's the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if that's not essential enough, well, let me tell you, Trade Coffee is reinventing. Why settle for anything less than amazing? And that's where Trade Coffee comes in. Whether you're gearing up for back-to-back meetings, shuttling the kids around, back and forth activities, whatever it may be, maybe you're tackling that endless to-do list, your morning sets the tone. And that's why you should start it with the perfect cup of coffee crafted just for you from Trade Coffee. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the United States, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. That's right. It's the best of the best, my friends. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist like myself, they've got the roast you'll love. I took Trade's quiz. It only took a minute, and the first bag they sent me was spot on, and I knew it was perfect for the perfect pour-over. Right now, Trade's exclusive offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. 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 That's trade.com/lockedonmlb. trade.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedon. Today's episode of the Locked On Tigers Postcast is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NBA Finals are in full swing. The Pacers won game #1. Who wins game #2? Every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments like Tyrese Halliburton's buzzer beater to give the Pacers the Game 1 win. And guess what? FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game. Before tip-off and live, player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. Which players are showing up in the biggest moments? Tyrese Halliburton. Who else will be SGA this time around? How could tracking their trends help you build your next bet? And how about a little same-game parlay? All you have to do is head over to FanDuel.com. And guess what? If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. FanDuel.com, place your first $5 bet, and if it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. It all happens at FanDuel.com. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Tigers fall to the Chicago Cubs in game 2 of the 3-game series. 6-1 the final in this one. Tyler Holton gets the loss. He's 2-3. He went an inning and a third. The opener today gave up the solo home run, and it was a wrap. Now, I'll also add with this game that with the Cubs evening the series, it does make for that compelling weekend finale on a Sunday. Jack Flaherty will go for the Detroit Tigers. Looking forward to that. And of course, first pitch is at noon. I'm looking at the wrong time zone. That happens. First pitch is after 1. And of course, we'll have our live Locked On Tigers postcast. 1:40, Jack Flaherty, Cade Horton tomorrow is your pitching matchup. Flaherty 4-6, 3.72 ERA, 76 strikeouts. He's been much better as of late. Horton's 3-0 with a 3.51 ERA and 19 strikeouts. All right, our turning point in this one.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Felt like this was a day where the Tigers just didn't have it from the jump. And the early home run for the Cubs to give them the 1-0 lead, combined with the way the Cubs were able to just continue to pour it on and extend that lead by way of the long ball. Felt like after the Busch home run in the 5th, when the Tigers fell down 3-0, that there was little hope. the Zach McKinstry triple, then scoring on the Rodgers ground out in the 5th gave you a little glimmer of hope there, but quickly back in the top of the 7th, PCA goes deep to make it 4-2-1, and from there was a wrap. But that being said, bounce back, and I hate to be a broken record and repetitive, but that's what this team is built on. They're resilient. They're the gritty Tigers. I saw a debate going around, is it gritty Tigs or gritty Tigers? I say gritty Tigers. I've always referred to them as the Tigers. I've never said let's go Tigs. It's not eat 'em up Tigers, eat 'em up. I mean, no disrespect to Tigger on Winnie the Pooh. Right? That's help me out in the comments. Am I having a total brain malfunction? It is, in fact, that's a character, the orange tiger that jumps around. I don't know, but it's gritty Tigers. So I'll settle that debate. But anyways, let's get into, I always have a way of getting derailed like that. Player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I'll tell you who it's not, and it's the Tigers pitching staff. I mean, you give up 5 home runs, and it ain't going to be you. But Suzuki with 2 home runs for the Cubs, both solo shots. He's got the 2 RBI, sets the tone, and then ends it with the home run in the 8th. So bookend home runs for Suzuki there. He's having a career year for the Chicago Cubs, the right fielder that gets it done. And it seems like the Cubs always have those guys that are just prone to, being a thorn in the opposition's side. But that being said, hey, let's go get it tomorrow. And I appreciate Braylon Dennis in the comments. Yes, I'm correct on Tigger. I haven't watched Winnie the Pooh in a long time, but gritty Tigers, right? Are we all in agreement? I should post the link or post a poll as well. It's gritty Tigers, not gritty Tigs. But either way, Tigers and Cubs tomorrow, 1:40 first pitch. We'll be on the air immediately following that. Looking forward to it. Bummer of a game today, 6-1. The Chicago Cubs win it with 5 home runs. The Cubs are 40-24, but the Tigers, they're 42-24. So take that, North Siders. And we'll have to settle it all tomorrow. The rubber match with Jack Flaherty on the bump for the Tigers, and for the Cubs, it'll be Cade Horton. Hope you'll join me then. Make sure you subscribe to Locked On Tigers. Like today's video. Go ahead and tell a friend about this if you enjoy the program. I'm sure they're already tuned in anyways, but hey, we've got north of 6,000 subscribers. Let's go ahead and double that by the end of the year, because this is a great baseball team. And as the Apple TV broadcast, Rick Waltz said last night, Detroit's a great baseball city, man. And you know what? Michigan is a great baseball state. So thanks so much for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to talk Tigers baseball, even if the way of the scoreboard isn't in favor of the Detroit Tigers like it was this afternoon. 6-1 the final. Try to do better tomorrow in the rubber match against the Chicago Cubs. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. See you next time.